Welcome to week 5 of our All In, Don't Just Go to Church, Be the Church devotional series. We've been talking about our 4 G's, where we want to be on mission, and how we believe here at Christ Wesleyan you can live life to the fullest, like John 10:10 says. Week 1 of our 4 G's, we talked about gathering together and the importance of rubbing up against each other, irritating each other for the advancement of good works and the gospel of Jesus Christ. Then last week, we talked about growth and how it's important to grow throughout the week, to empower each other throughout the week to live this Christian life and to get into small groups. And it was an awesome time of reiterating the fact that we just need each other to grow apart from Sunday mornings, but also with Sunday mornings. And this past week, we talked about giving. Now, in Acts chapter 20, verse 35, the Apostle Paul is saying goodbye to a sect of people that he's come close to, fellow believers. Now, when he's saying goodbye, he said, "Now, I want you to emulate me. I have given you examples on how to help the poor, help the weak, give your time, your energy, your talent, your resources." And then he gets to a quote by Jesus. And he said, "But remember what Jesus told us. It's not about me, it's about Jesus. And he told us that it is better, it is more blessed, it is more comfortable, it is more profitable to give than to receive." And this quote's interesting because you won't find that quote in the Gospel of Mark, in the Gospel of Luke, and Matthew, or John. And so Paul would have had to hear that from one of the 12 or the people who walked and talked with Jesus. He also could have read the writings of the disciples and the apostles and gathered that Jesus said that. And so I just thought that was pretty interesting. But the concept is this: it is more profitable to us. It is more beneficial to give than to receive. But we know in the outside world, outside the Christian community, there are a lot of generous people. But it's about the motive. Why are you generous? I believe that if you're a believer in Jesus Christ, it is not an option, but a requirement to be generous. But it's hard to receive, right? We say give, but have you ever been on the other end of the giving, the receiving? I want to give you a couple stories of my life, giving and receiving. The first one is giving. I love to give. My wife and I, whenever we go out to eat, we look for people who have hats on that have served, or veterans, or in the military now, or police officers, so we can pay for their meal. And this one couple, my wife and I just know. And this one couple, they got their bill, it was sitting on their table. You would think it would be uncomfortable to go up to people that you don't know in public, broad daylight, and interact with them, especially offer to pay their bill. But when the Spirit speaks, we listen, especially with generosity. So I go over, I don't even say a word. Well, I do. I didn't want to say a word, but I had to because he made eye contact with me. And as I grabbed their bill, I said, "Did you serve?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Thank you. Let me take care of this bill." And then I walked away. It wasn't uncomfortable. In fact, it was profitable for me to be generous like that. But then there's receiving too. Just recently, I was able to receive a gift, and it came out of nowhere. And it's an incredible story. But I received the gift. The words came, "No, it's a gift," because I wanted to pay for this. But they said, "No, it's a gift." And I said, "Absolutely no way. This can't be a gift. It's too much, not a chance." And they came back with, "No, it's a gift." When it's hard for you to receive, you might be robbing somebody of their gift of giving. So if we want to give and we expect people to receive, then us givers on the other side of the giving need to know how to receive as well. But isn't it weird that it's more comfortable and profitable when you give, when it could be uncomfortable, but it isn't? But then when you receive, it's more uncomfortable than to give? Well, Jesus taught us this. Jesus told us this. So when we give of our time by serving, our talents by specifically serving, about how God has blessed us, but also with our resource and our tithing. And it's a little weird because people get uncomfortable when preachers talk about tithing and giving. But in reality, If I wanted to preach more like Jesus in 25% of his messages, 25% of when Jesus spoke, he talked about money. So 1 out of every 4 sermons, if I wanted to stay in step with Jesus, I would preach to you about money, about handling our resources. Because in reality, like we talked about this past week, where your treasure is, there your heart is also. So what are you treasuring? Are you treasuring the things of this earth, which is get, receive, how much can I receive? But all those fade away, like Scripture tells us. But when we give generously to other people, we are storing up treasures in heaven. Why? Because you never know what your gift can do for somebody's eternity. When you give, you set up the opportunity to then, because of your motive of bringing them to Jesus Christ, your giving can literally lead them to Jesus. We don't give to get. We don't serve to get. But in reality, when we do serve, don't we get so much blessing? When we do give, don't we get so much blessing? It is an honor to give. And if you are a believer in Jesus Christ and you're not generous with your tipping, if you're not giving of your resources, if you're not tithing regularly, that is actually spiritual immaturity. And that's from Jesus. That's from Scripture. So I want to challenge you today. How are you giving your time? How are you giving your talents? How are you giving of your resources? Because it matters to God and it should matter to you too. Have a blessed week.